Welcome to my presentation at the International Congress for Qualitative Research and Theory Methodologies 2025 Listening, Learning, and Leading Change Through Qualitative Research, presented by RTM Institute and CQ University. My name is Verena Marker, and I am a doctoral candidate at Leuphana University of Lüneburg in Germany in cooperation with the University of Hawaii at Manoa. I am also holding a research fellowship at RTM Institute. My session presents a classic grounded theory of voice contexts. In progressive education, based on exploratory field visits and 2 decades of data in philosophy for children Hawaii. Let me pause here. What is philosophy for children Hawaii? It's a participatory approach where children, teachers, and sometimes experts sit together in a community of inquiry. Instead of the teacher lecturing, participants raise their own questions, and the group explores them together. Think of a dialogue, but shaped by children, and embedded in Hawaiian cultural traditions of aloha and ohana, the spirit of life and community. I was fascinated by this approach over decades. So I asked, what is happening in these progress-minded classrooms day by day? My research question is, what is the main concern of people engaged in P4C Hawaii, and how do they resolve this concern? Their merging overarching main concern is of finding a safe place to belong, addressing it with the core category of voicing me. But why does voice or voicing matter for belonging?
Think about the last time you spoke up in public, at work, in a class, or even at the dinner table. Did anyone really listen? Or did your words disappear into silence? With nobody picking them up, nobody responding, nobody remembering? Now imagine being a child, a young person, or someone without power in that moment. Too often, their voices are filtered, ignored, or only welcomed when they fit what adults want to hear. We've all had that experience. And when it happens, it's not just frustrating. It's hurtful. It's isolating. It makes us question, was it worth speaking at all? Am I worth it? Who am I? Where do I belong? In a classroom, sometimes a child stays quiet because it feels safer. Sometimes it tests the waters with a small comment. And sometimes, when the moment is right, its words spark connection and change. Think of everyday examples. In a team, the loudest voice often gets the most attention, even if the quietest person had the best idea. In a family, a challenging teenager voice can be dismissed as immature, even if it's deeply thoughtful. In classrooms, a silent voice is often read as failure, rather than a form of protection or quiet resistance. These everyday moments matter. They shape whether people feel safe, whether they belong, whether they can be themselves, and live together.
This is what my research is about. My work asks, how do we create environments where voices are not only heard but reacted on, and actually leading change? And what can we learn from children, teachers, and intergenerational classrooms about how this works in practice? I didn't go in with a preset theory. I used classic grounded theory, which means I started from the ground up with a 3-month exploratory field visit. I also collected publicly available data over 2 decades of P4C students, teachers and experts situated at model schools in Hawaii, like interviews, classroom transcripts, observations, documents, reflections. I kept asking, what is the main concern here? And how do participants try to resolve it? The answer that emerged: their main concern is finding a safe place to belong. And belonging is tied to how their voice resonates in the community. So safety is not a static property. It's not a classroom rule you can write on the wall. Safety is situational. It's negotiated, tested, felt in each moment. When belonging is sensed, voices expand. When belonging is threatened, voices contract into silence, compliance, or strategic self-effacement. From there, I developed the core category, voicing me. What does this mean? Voice is not just making sound. It's not only words. It is the way we articulate ourselves into the social world. The me is relational. It's co-constructed with others, institutions, and environments. So voicing me is the process of self-navigation and interaction. Positioning ourselves. Testing safety. Becoming visible. Sometimes being echoed, sometimes being muted. That's the cycle participants live in across students, teachers, and experts.
Silence, or a silent voice, is often read as failure, withdrawal, or missing attention. But silence can also be a form of participation, of listening, or of silent resonance. Participation and students' voicings have various facets, expressions, and tones. The study shows that participation, from a grounded perspective, is far away from political juridical definitions or pedagogical normativity. It includes unseen and unheard voices, voices of untranslatable agency. Children already have voices, but often they do not have the conditions to be heard or to make a change with their voice. Educational school structures, hierarchies, and strategies of teaching, like authoritative, corrective voicings, often do not leave the space or the situational environments to truly speak up and be listened to. So students following the process, holding back and balancing their investment. In order to share a vibe, like having a meaningful and inspiring group discussion with a real impact, the conditions for voicing must change. Only then can mediative and transformative voicings appear, where mutual teaching and learning can take place. Every student knows the feeling when the room changes. When one voice sparks something, and suddenly everyone leans in. It's like a rhythm, a vibe. Voices bounce back and forth, ideas connect, silence holds meaning, and listening feels alive. In these moments, we are not just students and teachers. We are co-thinkers, learning, and creating safe spaces together. This is called institutional resonance. It is the moment when a voice does not disappear, it travels, it echoes, it matters. In other words, what looks like a student's deficit is often a structural effect.
The voicing typology of intergenerational education captures how teachers and students' ways of speaking and listening shape the conditions of participation. Teachers move between modes of voicing. As authoritative gatekeepers, they enforce norms and rules and give directive information. As aspirative facilitators, they transfer and test knowledge for the students to follow. As mediative scaffolders, they attune relationally, orchestrating group energy and share thinking and mutual resonance for listening. And as transformative inspirers, they model openness, encourage student voices for risk-taking and leading change. Importantly, these modes are not fixed roles, but situational practices. Skilled participants learn to shift between roles, combining the functions of manager, mediator, scholar, and inspirer within their own practice. Seen through the lens of a communication model, voices operate as more than instructional tools. They set the tone of resonance, regulate the bodily climate of the classroom, and signal legitimacy. Authoritative voice can create order, but may suppress risk-taking. Mediative voice stabilizes presence and encourages students to listen to each other. Transformative voice extends classroom dialogue into institutional resonance, making students' contributions visible and valued beyond the immediate group. In this sense, teacher voices are central to the ecology of listening. They not only respond to students' voices, but create the very conditions under which voices can resonate. In this way, the voicing typology connects micro-interactions with systemic transformation. The way teachers and students speak and listen in classrooms reverberates into how schools and communities learn to change. But voicing me doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens within what I call voice contexts. And these contexts, these everyday conditions determine whether speaking up builds belonging or leaves someone out. Let me walk you through the theory of voice contexts. Closed, mutual compliance, risk-taking, and open resonant. Let's translate them into everyday life. The closed context. You want to speak, but you don't dare. Maybe you fear ridicule. Maybe the group climate feels unsafe. An example, the student who never speaks in class, the colleague who stays quiet in meetings. The mutual compliant context. The group continues with surface-level talk. Students nod, give short, correct answers. Teachers accept them, but nothing deeper happens. An example, a classroom where everyone goes through the motions, but no real thinking is shared. The risk-taking context. Someone tests the waters. I'm not sure, but maybe. This is vulnerable. If ignored or ridiculed, the speaker retreats. If recognized, it can blossom into deeper exchange. An example, a student offers a personal thought, a teacher validates it, and suddenly others join in. Open resonant contexts. The ideal. Voices echo, connect, and amplify. Recognition flows. Ideas are co-authored. Roles shift, students teach. Teachers learn and resonate together. An example, a philosophy circle where a child's question sparks an hour of deep, joyful exploration, with everybody wondering, what is the point of colors? Here's the key message. These contexts are not stages in a straight line. They are trajectories people move back and forth. A safe space can close instantly if someone mocks. A hesitant risk can become resonant if taken up. Compliance can either collapse into silence or blossom into dialogue. So, voice is always in motion. Now, let me emphasize one of my most important findings. Institutional resonance. What do I mean? It's not enough for someone to speak. Recognition has to be picked up, echoed, and stabilized through institutional practices of sharing bodily presence, managing the environment with safety strategies and voicing types, developing a community-related awareness, and then resonating together. Institutional resonance decides which voices endure. Here are some examples. A teacher writes a child's idea on the board. Now it counts. A manager includes your suggestion in the project plan. Now it counts. And here's the paradigm shift. It's not about giving children a voice. They already have voices. It's about analyzing the architectures of resonance that filter, amplify, or silence them.
Qualitative research has the power to uncover experiences and to attune to the subtle architectures through which recognition, participation, and transformation become possible. This presentation contributes to that mission by offering a classic grounded theory on how voice emerges, shifts, and becomes socially receivable in intergenerational educational settings. Drawing from qualitative data in dialogical classrooms of P4C Hawaii, the study develops the concept of leading change through authentic voicing and institutional listening. The theory traces how agentic voice, shared presence, and developed awareness interact to produce moments where listening leads to mutual learning, and learning invites shared leadership. The emergent theory of voice contexts in education discovers vital modalities in both teaching and social life. When consciously balanced, voicing and voice contexts foster conditions where listening becomes mutual, learning becomes relational, and change becomes possible. Listening, learning, and leading change is the shared labor of designing environments where voice, presence, and awareness can shift together. This theory contributes to qualitative research by revealing how the micropolitics of voice, when understood relationally, carry the potential to reconfigure change through institutional listening and mutual learning.
This directly connects to our conference theme: listening, learning, and leading change. Through qualitative research. Qualitative research doesn't just collect voices. It studies the conditions under which voices resonate. That's how we lead change. By making the invisible architectures of listening visible. And here's the call to action. If we want to listen, learn, and lead change, we must move beyond the idea of giving people a voice. Voices are already there. The real question is, do we create the resonance that lets them be heard? Let us close with a voice from the field. The experience I had with P4C Hawaii was that the sound of a voice triggered the same thing in me. And just the idea and the raw thought triggered something in me that resonated with my own experience. So I realized that there was a human articulating something that resonated with my own understanding of the world. And that to me would be the connection or the energy that is similar to playing a note on a guitar string in a certain frequency that then creates this resonance in another. It has the same frequency and vibrates. Thank you for listening today and thinking and learning together. Mahalo.
As I come to the end of this presentation, I would like to take a moment to express my sincere gratitude. First of all, I want to thank the RTM Institute and CQ University for their kind invitation and for hosting this inspiring international congress for qualitative research and theory methodologies. It is a privilege to share my work in such a vibrant international community. What makes this congress special is not only the diversity of topics, but the way different voices from researchers and practitioners resonate with one another. Each contribution is like a note that lingers, combining into a larger soundscape that we carry with us after the session's end. My hope is that this resonance does not stop here, but continues to echo in your own research, practice, and collaborations. I would be delighted to hear your reflections or just leave a short comment here. You can reach out to me at verena.mark@lafana.de or visit my website, where I also share ongoing research collaborations on grounded theory and community engagement. With this, I wish you a wonderful continuation of the Congress. May the different voices you encounter here not only inform but also inspire, and may their resonance accompany you beyond this event. Thank you, and goodbye.